Hey, everybody, and welcome in. It's the Poor Man Fantasy Football League podcast. We're the fantasy football show that brings you inside the life and times of our Dynasty League. I'm your host, Mike. With me, as always, is my friend who just got 1 year older today, Andrew. It is February 5th, and tonight we're going to be bringing you the NFC and AFC South Divisional review of what we did in the summer, and we're going to celebrate Andrew's birthday. So, Andrew, happy birthday, my friend. Cracking a beer, enjoying one with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You also just got back from your second trip yesterday, last night, or yesterday afternoon?
Yesterday afternoon.
Okay. How are you feeling? Back-to-back vacations, lots of sun, although it sounds like it might have been a bit cooler for you in Arizona.
The first half of the week was. Second half got nice. Like the last 2 days was like 26, 27, and then 29.
Okay. That's all right. That's good weather.
29 is probably what, about 80, 85?
80, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, down there.
It's not crush you heat. It's comfortable heat.
Yes. And we actually saw snow.
In Arizona?
Yes.
Like it snowed overnight kind of snow?
We went to the Grand Canyon.
Okay. Which is a hole in the ground. It's not a mountain.
True, but on the way there, we went through Red Rock, which is up in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
Sedona.
That
area there, and there was snow.
Cool. All right. I'm sure you didn't miss it.
No.
Coming back to this hellish ice-scape of what we call home. We're not the coldest place on the planet, but dang, we sure feel like it.
True.
Can you see the snow?
Oh, there we go. Oh, dang. Yeah, you did see some snow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your trip. Did you get out of it what you wanted?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, lots of...
See this huge donut that we saw at the gas station?
Oh, jeez.
Okay, you got a
story?
There
was a huge donut in the gas station.
Like Did you buy it?
Of Ashley's head.
Did you buy it?
No, we just took a picture with it.
Oh.
$9 for that.
It was $9 for that donut.
Which is like $20 here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your trip.
Yeah, good and relaxing. The place we stayed at was a great place, quiet.
It looked cool. The pictures you posted. Sorry, that your wife posted.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, I don't watch it. My wife does, and she's like, "Hey, look where they're at." I'm like, "Oh, it looks pretty cool."
Yeah, it was a cool pool. Had a hot tub for relaxing in, and yeah, the only sucky part was that I got sick there at the beginning of the week. And the first night we were there, I was up until 2:30 in the morning.
He said you were drinking beers and playing pool.
Yeah, and then every other night I was in bed by 10 o'clock because I was just drained.
You lived my life. All right. Well, welcome back. It's your birthday. Did you do anything special for your birthday today? Were you back at work or did you have today off?
No, I was at work.
You were at work today. Okay.
Yeah. After being away 2 weeks, I had to catch up.
And how much did you have to catch up on? Was there a lot of changes?
Yeah, there is a lot. There's always constant stuff going on, right? Like new projects coming up and stuff like that. Super busy. How was your first few days back?
I spent half of my first day just going through emails and catching up on communications and whatnot. And then, the cold set in and we prepared for that. Things broke. So trying to get stuff fixed. And then we went through a massive Windows update across the city. We went from Windows 10 to Windows 11 and that didn't roll out smoothly. So in the middle of the workday, it's like, hey, guess what? You're getting upgraded. So in the middle of my workday, programming a system, my laptop goes, you're going from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And it wasn't smooth. There was all kinds of hiccups. Privileges were removed, and then all kinds of people had issues. So now they're restoring features and functions. And yeah, so I'm having to go back and fix some things that never got completed. Good times. Lots of fun. And then, of course, it's freezing freaking cold out. Made it rather challenging to get around.
Yes.
But this weekend, man, Super Bowl weekend. The weather should be okay. It's like minus 27. Yeah, it's better than minus 30, minus 27.
Yes.
Right? So I'm hopeful. We have a table for 6. Unfortunately, Dean, he dropped out. He can't make it. So
yeah, it looks like Zip is probably not going to be making it either.
Oh,
He had a tournament, and he has a tournament in Calgary.
his basketball? His rugby, okay.
So he doesn't know the schedule yet.
Okay.
So it's like I might be able to be there, I might not. So it's hard to tell.
Well, hopefully. I actually was hoping to run into him and have some questions for him about drama schools. But maybe I'll just message him on the side if he's not going to make it. Either way, we have a table. We're ready. We have, I think, 8 people potentially planned for a table of 6. So this might actually work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else was coming?
It's you, me, Brian. I don't know if Zip's dad's going to come anymore. If Zip's not going to be there,
Probably not.
Okay, so that puts us down to 5. And then your nephew, is he still coming?
I haven't actually talked to him yet. I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, so we have a table for 6. My dad is hit or miss whether or not he's going to be able to make it or not. The invite's out there. We'll see.
There you go.
It'll be a fun crowd nonetheless. As a Chiefs fan, he might want to attend instead of watching from home. Ugh.
He wouldn't be so bitter if it was the Lions.
I would not be bitter at all. I have come to terms with them losing. It just really hurts looking at what's happened to the team. We lost 7 coaches. Like, that's what happens. You have a successful program, guys elevate, they promote. And, as much as I love my Lions, next year is going to be an interesting year because we don't know what to expect from the guys that have come in. And I love that they're promoting from within, which shows a developmental process. There might be some consistency there. They did bring one guy out. It's just interesting. So I'm hopeful for next year. It's just sad, but I am tired of seeing all of the Mahomes stuff. Just because whether there's legitimately anything going on or not, it is just tiresome seeing everybody rag on Mahomes and the referee BS. And I'm not a big fan of the Eagles either, so it's not like yay, this is going to be a fun Super Bowl.
That's true. Hasn't been a fun Super Bowl for you for a long time.
This is why I drink so much when I go to the party, to get what fun I can out of it.
I shouldn't say that. You enjoyed the Ram game.
I did, mainly because, as a Stafford fan, I love that he got himself a Super Bowl. I think he deserved it. He did. To me, he deserved it. I would just like to see some other stories be played out instead of...
True.
So as of right now, from what would I like to see? I would like to see the three-peat and at least Mahomes secure that part of his football legacy, because I don't think he'll get to the Tom Brady echelon, but this will give him... Okay, based upon his performance this year, I don't think he's going to get to the Tom Brady echelon. He might get Super Bowls, but he won't get the performance metrics to go along with it. So, and there's nothing on the Eagles side I want to see. Nothing.
Yeah. The only thing that I think would be good from if the Eagles won it and this guy went all out.
Saquon Barkley.
If Barkley got 250 yards rushing,
sure. Yeah,
and 3 or 4 touchdowns, and just destroyed the game, to turn around to say,
"Screw you, New York!
New York, look what you just did. You could have kept me,
okay,
and you could have built around me, and you didn't.
Look what you could have had, New York."
That's right. But I get I totally get it's a team game. But just one of those, and I even said it when Tom Brady went from New England to Tampa Bay. At the beginning of that year, I said I'd love for Brady to go and win the Super Bowl, just to stuff it in
New England's
face.
Yeah. To prove that he wasn't just a product of Bill Belichick's system, that he was the GOAT. Yeah, and you know what? I loved that story happening.
Yeah.
It just
But
wasn't super fun at the time.
I really do not think um, Kansas. Well, I think Kansas City is focusing on him more than anything else um, from a defensive game plan.
Saquon Barkley?
Yeah,
To me, he's the strongest weapon.
he is.
Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, secondary.
Yes,
Saquon. You stop Saquon, you force them to pivot their game plan. Because to me, Saquon showed that he is the dude this year, and that team
yes,
runs through Saquon.
yes, yeah. And I think the games that they lost were games that the other team held him in check.
Yeah, they couldn't get him going.
And I don't like had they not got him, I don't know if they would have made. They might not even have made the playoffs.
No, I don't. Yeah, I
I think the
agree.
Commanders would have taken that division,
Very well
and
could have. Yeah.
and you know what? Philadelphia might not even have made the playoffs. Who knows?
Let's go back in time and say Saquon Barkley is available in the open market. He's testing free agency, and Philadelphia comes in with an offer, but somehow does not land him, and instead he goes to the Chargers.
Well,
How much?
what came out in the news this week was a couple of days before he signed with the Eagles, he almost accepted the offer from the Bears.
Really?
Yes.
That would have been a bad move.
Who knows? Who
Uh,
knows?
I don't think Saquon Barkley could have made that better. I think Saquon made the right choice. He needed
Yes.
to be the guy, and Philadelphia made him the guy. Even with all the weapons and assets they have, they featured him and made the offense run through Saquon. It just made the ball. And as soon as you stopped it, okay, well, now let's get Jalen running. Let's get that ball moving through the air because now we have those assets. Chicago wasn't able to get Caleb Williams and the weapons rolling there enough to. And
No, and I don't
Saquon,
think they didn't have a good enough offensive line.
no. But
I
if he,
think the only other place that Saquon could have gone, and he would have been, I almost hate to say it. It would have been scary to see him in Baltimore because the year that Henry had, add that little bit more of Saquon onto it, that could have been a scary team.
okay, here's how I would rank it. I would say if Saquon went to Baltimore instead of Henry, Baltimore probably would have had a way better season. And
Yeah.
that's just adding like diamonds on top of like diamonds here. Like Baltimore already had a great season, had so many good things going for them. You added Saquon, but Derrick Henry still provided them a lot of what they already had. So it's
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's not that big of an elevation. A
Okay.
team that like the Chargers, they didn't have that premier running back. They used what they had and they were successful with what they had. But if they had Saquon Barkley running that ball in that hardball run first system, because to me, Saquon has all of the attributes of an elite running back. Because if things didn't work on the running game, he can line out or he can wheel out, and Justin Herbert can hit him on any check down that they need to do, and that dude would be just as good, if not better, in that system, and would have elevated that team that much further. The Dallas Cowboys, had they had Saquon, they would have featured him from get go, and they wouldn't have
Yes.
bounced back and forth between Rico Dowdle, Zeke, and whatever garbage they were trying to run.
Yeah.
It would have been a clearer line of who uses. So I like Saquon's great, love it. I really wish he would have, that last game, put in the extra couple yards, taken the title, and added that. I realize he's not greedy or egotistical in that aspect, but so to me, he would be the second best play in the Super Bowl. I think Mahomes and the Chiefs have the advantage because they make anything work. There's not like one guy. They had Samaje Perine win the game for them, right? That's how versatile they are. So in the stories that I'd like to see play out, Garbage times it for a victory for the three-peat. Story 2, if that doesn't happen, Saquon Barkley runs wild. Like, what was it? Was it Hulk Hogan that used to do run wild all over you? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Do that whole thing all over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
200 plus
For
yards,
sure.
couple touchdowns. That'd be fantastic. That'd be a lot of fun to watch because I really don't care who wins either way.
Yeah, if the Chiefs have to lose, I want them to lose to Barkley, not to Hurts,
Okay. Yeah.
not to Brown or Devonta. I no,
Not to the defense. You want him to lose because, hey, look, we kept you pace for pace, but Saquon it was his day.
Yes.
Okay. I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
Like that, he earned my respect this year. The year that the couple of years he had in with the Giants, where he's like, F this, F that. I don't want to play here. I don't want to honor my contract. I don't this, that, the next thing. I was starting to lose some respect for him, and I thought, okay, you know what? You're getting too old to be able to call your shots anymore. But this year he stepped up and he earned some
Okay.
respect.
Let me paint this scenario for you. And then I think we're going to have to wrap this up real quick. The New York Giants definitely screwed up here. Letting him go, wasting his years, and frustrating to the point where it was like, I got to get out of here. Have you seen the video clips of that guy's son, the 16-year-old son, advising the team of what they should do? Don't let Saquon go. That's dumb. Go draft Jaden Daniels. Could you imagine what the world would look like if they did draft Jaden Daniels and they had Saquon Barkley still on the team? They didn't let him walk in free agency. And they somehow they probably wouldn't have Malik Neighbors, but, let's just say things switched around and they did have a prolific wide receiver like Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, and Saquon on the team. How different would their season look?
Oh, night and day. Night and day. That or, hey, if you had let Saquon Barkley go 3 years ago, and he ended up in Detroit 3 years ago,
Oh, baby, don't tease me like that.
could he have had a 2,000-yard season?
That would have been
else?
the start of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' tenure. If they had somehow swung a deal
first year would have been second year.
That would have been, they would have traded the Jameson Williams draft pick for Saquon.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have Jameson Williams. We would have had Saquon Barkley, which would have changed the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery thing a little bit. But yeah,
if you think about the yards that Montgomery and Gibbs put together, give that all to Barkley, and all those touchdowns to Barkley, that would have been a scary backfield.
Yeah. Barry Sanders would be like, "Oh my goodness, we just found a do me."
Or if he had 3 years ago, if he had gone to San Francisco when McCaffrey went,
and instead of McCaffrey, oh dang, that would have been just as good.
And it better because
he doesn't get hurt.
He doesn't get hurt. Exactly. So them against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, do they lose those 2 Super Bowls?
Or it goes the other way.
Win? Yeah.
Hey, isn't that weird? San Francisco has played Kansas City twice in the Super Bowl. Now Philly's about to play Kansas City twice in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Repeats.
And about to lose for the second time.
Yep. You know what? I honestly believe it's going to be a Kansas City. Anyways, let's move on. Man, this beer is tasting really good and I'm feeling good. All right, folks, we did talk about doing the AFC and NFC South review. So way back in August, before the season started, Andrew and I got together, and along with some of our other peers. So in this case, we did the NFC South with Gabriel. Now we're going to be doing a series where we're going to go back and we're going to look at how we predicted and what we thought was going to happen throughout the season. Things are definitely not going to line up how we projected, okay? I'm just going to tell you that right now. So we're going to start off with the AFC South. And for those at home that don't know, the AFC South consists of Houston, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Tennessee. So when Andrew and I first got together, it was just him and I. We reviewed this division. We looked at each of the team, their current rosters, who the starters were, and then tried to how are these teams going to play out? We kind of looked at their schedule and then projected what we thought their end of season rankings would be. Now, in this division, Andrew, you said Houston would win the division going 10-7. Then you had Jacksonville and Indianapolis bringing it up at 8-9, and Tennessee being the loser of the division at 6-11. I was pretty close. I said Houston 10-7, Jacksonville 8-9. I thought Indianapolis, with Anthony Richardson coming back, would do a little bit better, so I had them going 9-8, and then Tennessee doing 6-11. So we were pretty mirrored. Yep. Here's how it actually broke down. Houston did go 10-7, so congratulations for us for getting that one. Okay, kind of a hollow victory though.
Yeah.
The team did not live up to expectations. What we thought from C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs far exceeded my expectations, and I love what was happening until the injury. And then Tank Dell just, to me, pooped his pants. But Joe Mixon, loved how Joe Mixon played out this year. But they only finished 10-7, made a playoff berth, and was eliminated. Team number 2, Indianapolis, 8-9. You got that one. Congratulations. I went 9-8 for Indy. Yep. I thought Indy would do better. And what was funny here is that Anthony Richardson was not the guy. Their backup quarterback, Gardner Minshew, seemed to do way better because he was able to move the ball, although they did default back to Anthony Richardson at the end of the season, which I suspect is a play of saying, hey, we really need to see what we have out of this kid to decide what we do for next year.
Yeah, I think what it was they threw him in at the start. Maybe the game was too fast for him.
He was coming back from injury.
Pivot from him to Minshew, and then pivot back to him to see if the game slowed down for him.
He did towards the end of the year. Yeah, he did pick it up. That's also when we saw Jonathan Taylor light it up because they did not run everything through Anthony Richardson. They allowed Jonathan Taylor to do Jonathan Taylor things.
Yes. So I think they have the blueprint. If him and Taylor can stay healthy, and I know Taylor's getting a year older.
He's also a free agent, so he might not come back.
True. But, okay, so even if they move away from Taylor, if they get another good running back in place, and they follow the blueprint that they ended the season on, don't pull a Chicago Bears. Hey, we figured Justin Fields out, but we're going to go back to him throwing the ball in the pocket the beginning of the next season, which he crapped in his pants doing it. Don't do the same thing. Follow that same blueprint, and I think they go from the 8-9 to maybe 10-7 and battle for the division. So I just think if they follow that same blueprint, because they did start to have a little bit of success at the end.
They did, which kind of ruined their season trajectory because they weren't going to make the playoffs, but they weren't going to get a good draft pick. So
yeah,
fingers crossed they figure it out for next year. The next team is Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they utterly imploded this year. They finished 4-13. They were in play for the first overall pick. They played themselves out of it. And oddly enough, the first overall pick fell to their league mate, Tennessee. Tennessee finished 3-14. I did not see Tennessee being this bad. You and I both thought they'd go 6-11, but we weren't expecting 3-14.
But the bigger disappointment was Jacksonville, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I had higher expectations of second-year Trevor Lawrence with this coaching staff saying, hey, look, can you continue the upward trends of what happened last year, and can you move forward? Yeah. Travis Etienne didn't perform. Rookie Brian Thomas came out and was like great throughout parts of the year, and then came solid second half. But they lost Evan Ingram. Their wide receivers were nothing. Yeah, it was tough all around.
That team, I think, is going to be in trouble. And same thing with Tennessee. I think they're going to be in trouble for a couple of years. It's going to take them a couple of years to rebound.
Let me ask you this. Tennessee has the first overall pick. And all of the industry mocks that I've looked at so far, none of them have Tennessee drafting a quarterback. I don't understand that. Like, do you have any insight or opinion? What do you think? Do you think they should be drafting? all of them have him going a defensive, like, generational talent. I don't know if this kid is supposed to be that good, why they would draft that defensive tackle first overall at everybody's mock draft and skip over a quarterback.
To me, I think they need offensive position player. It doesn't matter what position, wide receiver, running back, or quarterback. They need help all over.
Yeah.
Like
So
ETN did not.
no, Tennessee. We're talking Tennessee here.
Or sorry, Tennessee.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs again.
It was DeAndre Hopkins, but they traded him to KC. Who was the other wide receiver? The guy who had the gambling problem that took time off, had to take a year off, and then come back from Atlanta.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
But Will Levis also wasn't up to snuff. I mean.
All three of those key positions, you need to get somebody and build around that.
Yeah,
building around unless your coach is going to be like a Campbell, where just pound the hell out of everybody
and let squeeze what success he can out of them.
Like just pound the hell out of your opposition and let the ambulance attendants sort out the body parts. You know, why are you building around a defense? Build around your offense. That's why I say, like, I think they're going to take them 2 or 3 years.
Okay. I think what Tennessee might do this year is they might trade out of the first spot. So they're not forced to take a quarterback. Move back. Allow somebody who wants or needs that quarterback, that sees the value in what's there. Take that guy. Use the trade back to get, let's say they want a defensive player. Let's say that they do that. They go and get their blue chip all-star defensive tackle or whoever it is that they're shooting for. And they go and find a Joe Flacco, a Jameis Winston, a backup guy that they could plug in if Will Levis decides to fail.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, you know what? The year after, then we'll try and like get another high draft pick to re-up into that quarterback market. I don't know.
Could be. They might be looking at this quarterback market as a weak market this year.
Could be, yeah. Because there's only 2 guys talked about, Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders. And I don't know much about either.
I think Shadur Sanders was all hype.
I feel that might be very true.
Just because of his dad pumping him up. Because you look at, I'm going to say probably mid-November, maybe even late October, mid-November, everybody was saying the DB and Shadur,
Travis Hunter,
Hunter and Shadur were going to get drafted 1 and 2. It was a revolving door as to who was going to go number 1, who's going to go number 2. Oh, they're guaranteed to go 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Now Shadur has dropped down to, like you even said in the one draft,
6. Yeah, well, yeah, that one guy, yeah, he almost fell out of the top 10.
So I think with Shadur, without Daddy there pumping his gas for him, we'll see on Pro Day and on Combine if he is everything everybody's saying he is. Because you could get a JJ McCarthy who was probably projected, 7th or 8th quarterback, have a wicked Pro Day and wicked
and elevate himself up
draft or camp, and he moved up. And if people were almost saying he might even go number 1 after all of the combine and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Shadur could drop big time if he can't perform. But I think what's going to happen, and this might even hurt him too. Dion's going to say if he's not going to go number 1, he's not doing any reps at the combine.
But you're not going to know that he's not going to go number 1. You got to do the reps to show the people. Something that I've learned and observed.
If somebody's not going to guarantee it, I bet you he says he doesn't perform.
Because he doesn't want to hurt his stock.
Exactly. If he's going to drop down to number 10, I don't want him falling to number 20. Or even falling out of the first round, because
I would like to see the combine be non-optional. If you're invited to the combine, you either attend or you don't. And if you attend, you either perform in all of the events, you don't select. Otherwise, you get washed out and your spot gets assigned to somebody else when you bring them into showcase.
Yeah. Or just because you're a really fast guy, oh, I'll go do the 40, but that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to run routes. I'm not going to.
You got to do it all. And if you don't do it all, you get a poor score, which to me reflects upon you and your attitude and your commitment to this game.
Well, that's exactly it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going in there saying, I'm not doing anything unless I'm a guaranteed number one, that should say something about your character and
Already.
how are you going to be with your team? Are you going to be a problem in the locker room? Or are you going to be a team player?
How are you going to be at practice? Practice. We're talking about practice. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. All right. So the AFC South has always been somewhat of a disappointment. We thought there was going to be some excitement from Houston. They didn't fully deliver on that. So out of this, we failed. Well, I don't know. We were kind of 50-50. We got Houston number one. We did project, in this case, you projected Houston closely, but we were so far off on Jacksonville and Tennessee. Now, we did do a fantasy lineup. This fantasy lineup is where we pick who we thought were going to be the best out of this division at each of the positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, flex. So here's who I picked. I did pick Anthony Richardson. I bought into the hype thinking this guy's going to run through and just like on the ground run this back. Okay. Anthony Richardson. I picked Jonathan Taylor as my running back. I picked Nico Collins as my wide receiver. I picked Evan Ingram as my tight end. And I picked up, touchdown heavy Travis Etienne as my flex. Andrew, tell the world what you picked.
You know what? I just want to make a comment about yours. Had you not had a lot of those guys not had injuries, you might have
could have
had,
been different, yeah.
Like Nico Collins could have been the top guy.
Evan Ingram could have been the best tight end and should have been the best tight end.
ETN, if he hadn't just disappeared, could have been the top guy.
All right.
Like you could have swept the whole darn thing. But for my picks, I picked Stroud. I picked again, like you, I picked ETN, but at my running back instead of my flex. I went Diggs, Ingram, and Pittman.
Yeah. And here's how it played out, folks. Stroud was the number one quarterback overall. He had 266 points. So he was number one. Running back was Jonathan Taylor. That's what that means. Yeah. I didn't have a way of like delimiting the information. So Stroud finished with 266 points. Jonathan Taylor, which I got correct. So right now we're 1-1. He finished with 233. The number one wide receiver out of the AFC South was Brian Thomas, a rookie. Out of the talent that existed there, that was surprising.
Yes. I'd like to see him get Rookie of the Year.
He very well could. I think Jaden Daniels is probably going to steal it from him, but
probably, yeah.
But yeah, he finished with 241 points as a rookie. That's fantastic. Evan Ingram did not make the list. Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. You might remember that name because he was relevant at some point in the past, but he only had 92 points, and that made him the number one tight end in this. Oh, it was so bad. So bad. I had to when I sorted this data out, I'm like, that does not seem right. So I went individually and looked at each guy, pulled their data out individually. I'm like, dang, this is bad.
The guy from the Raiders.
Bowers.
What did he end up with?
Number one overall.
Yeah, no, but like how many points did he end up with?
Sorry, you got to give me a sec. I don't have that data set in front of me. Not this one. Where's that data set? Hang on. He finished number one overall. I think he was 195 points. He had.
That is pretty sad. When you're the best guy in your division, and the number one guy had over 100 more points than you.
Well, yeah, more than doubled. More than double.
That's pathetic.
It was unfortunate, and it's not like Houston was super pro. Bowers had 207.
There you
so
go.
he broke the 200 mark, more than double.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last, the flex. Now, the flex is a bit more challenging to land on because in this case, it could be any tight end, wide receiver, or running back. Now, I chose Travis Etienne. You chose Michael Pittman. Neither one of them were the right choice. Joe Mixon at 233.
And I think everybody dismissed him because new team, not really sure whether he was going to gel with the team or not, or how they were even going to use him.
Because
he was solid. He was solid.
He was fantastic all year long. I want to point out here, that Jonathan Taylor was number one in his division at 233 points. Joe Mixon came in second at 233. So there's a fractional marginal point difference that Sleeper is obviously not showing us because they ranked Jonathan Taylor one spot ahead of Joe Mixon, but they had the same point finish. So I'm assuming there's some fractions that in our league setting point scoring system, it just
could have
didn't
been
play
like
out.
233 to 233.1 to 233.
0.09.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there could be that difference. So congratulations, Joe Mixon. Love that worked out.
Yes.
I do feel bad because I'm a big Michael Pittman fan.
But...
Hey, you did that with the intent of getting better for next year.
Yes.
So that is the AFC South. Let's move on to the NFC South. And for those at home following along, that is your Tampa Bay, your New Orleans, Atlanta, and Carolina. Another South division that totally sucks. Now, when we did this, we had our friend Gabriel, a.k.a. Little Baby Sheepman. He joined the show, and we all sat down and we talked and we deliberated. We looked at all the rosters. We thought who were the starters and what we were projecting. So here's how we started. I thought Tampa Bay would win the division going 8-9. I also thought New Orleans, with the assets they had, would go 8-9. Atlanta, with Kirk Cousins coming in, would finish 8-9. And Carolina would suck like normal and finish 4-13. Andrew, how did you have it?
I went division winner, 9-8 with Atlanta, and I have an asterisk for some reason. I don't remember why.
Because you hate Kirk Cousins, and you thought if Kirk Cousins was going to be healthy, that's how they're going to do it. But if Kirk Cousins wasn't going to be healthy, then that was your caveat.
Yeah. I went 7-10 for both New Orleans and Tampa Bay. I think having Tampa Bay finish second and New Orleans third, and then again, like you, Carolina poo-pooing the bed at 4-13.
Now, Gabriel, he had Atlanta going 10-7. He had Tampa Bay following up, going 7-10. New Orleans not doing very well, going 5-12. Carolina 4-13. And it just kind of like an interesting opinion. Now, this is where we also drew in Las Vegas projections and Fox Sports, who at the time was the first company or organization to come out with a projection. So they thought it was going to be a battle between New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Fox Sports did, with Atlanta going 7-12 and Carolina going 5-12. Vegas thought it was Atlanta's division, followed by Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Carolina. Here's how it actually played out. Tampa Bay, as we know, went balls out with Baker Mayfield, who had a prolific season. They went 10-7. So none of us were even remotely close because they finished above our expectations. New Orleans faltered. They started off hot, super hot, looked unbeatable, and then nosedived, finishing 5-12. So Gabriel, congratulations. You got that one bang on, buddy. Atlanta, they finished 8-9, so I got that one. But you weren't far off with 9-8. And Gabriel, we just had higher expectations. I just don't think, looking back at how the season went, I think Kirk Cousins wasn't ready. He couldn't move. He couldn't scramble. He couldn't even get out of the way because of the Achilles injury, right? So he stepped back, he threw the ball, and if he didn't throw the ball, he was toast.
Yeah, and I just think that offense was just all wrong all year.
Yeah,
you got a great running back, and you got a great tight end.
And a great wide receiver, but that tight end.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, Drake London. Yeah. Even Darnell Mooney showed off that he could be like amazing.
Yes. But you should have ran the ball first, tossed the ball second. And if you can't get the long ball, you go short ball to your tight end or your slot guy coming across the middle. I think Kirk Cousins wanted to be the old Minnesota Viking, where
Justin
I can check Jefferson down for 45 yards, and it just
didn't work.
Right. He wasn't mobile enough and stable enough to do that.
Do you think he's the starter next year, or do you think Michael Penix showed enough at the end of the season to really make that a question?
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go after another quarterback and go Penix and quarterback battle for the starting job and just move on from Cousins altogether.
Yeah, okay. I'm 100% in agreement with that. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be playing for a different team next year, whether that's Tennessee or whoever that might be that might go out and pick up that contract.
We just talked about a team. Go to Indianapolis. If Richards
Indy,
isn't
yeah.
going to be there, then Kirk Cousins can go there and back him up.
I don't know if his ego would allow him to be a backup. And that
Your
might be a
body
hard
might,
pill for him to swallow.
yeah. But you look at like an Andy Dalton. You gotta accept it at some point.
Yep. Speaking of Andy Dalton, he plays for the Carolina Panthers, who might have finished the season 5-12, but they showed life.
They did when he
They
played.
did. Yeah, when Bryce, when they pivoted away from Andy Dalton and went back to Bryce Young towards the end of the season started to figure out how to play NFL football. Chuba Hubbard was a thing.
Yes.
And Adam Thielen was a thing. They were moving the ball and scoring, but they weren't powerful enough to win games.
Yeah, no, they didn't have enough. They were who could when you say the Chiefs that they won 8 games in the regular season by 3 points or less. They were the opposite of it. They probably lost 8 games
By 3 points or less. Yeah.
by
Okay.
by a touchdown or less or what have you, right? Like
A one
their
score game.
their defense gave up just a little bit too much that their offense couldn't make it. But, I still think they're the Carolina Panthers. And
They're the Carolina Panthers, but they were impressive. Like I honestly, I wrote them off thinking this team is toast. Like you didn't make a quarterback splash. You didn't make a change. There really wasn't anything to be super excited about. Jonathan Taylor, they drafted, and then Jonathan Taylor started, and then he re-injured his knee. It's like, okay, there's really things not going right here, but they figured it out with Bryce Young. They made some progress to the point where this team might be better next year with Bryce Young.
maybe
Improvement. Like I feel more excited for them and what's going on as opposed to a complete write-off now.
Yeah.
I
think they build a little bit more around them.
Yeah, I don't see them winning the division, but I think there's more hope and optimism for them.
Who knows with this division though?
Ugh. It's still not a great division, especially with some of the changes that have recently happened in this division. I'm really not, until we see the complete offseason and the draft, I don't see them being much better than what they currently are.
Look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay probably only went 10-7 because they stole 6 games from the division.
Okay, they also beat my Lions, and I think they beat the Chiefs.
We don't talk about that.
Right. So they played essentially two great teams.
Played to the level.
And played to the level of their team. Baker Mayfield had an amazing season. Mike Evans had an amazing season. Their running game had an amazing season, but they didn't figure out who was their guy until towards the end. So there was good things happening for them. It just didn't all. It wasn't consistent.
Flashy.
Yeah,
they weren't flashy. Baker Mayfield is not a flashy quarterback.
He's not, but he had a prolific season. So that's 2 seasons in a row for Baker. Now. Yes. He lost his offensive coordinator in each of those years. This is his 3rd coordinator with Tampa. I hope it continues to work out.
This is probably his 10th coordinator throughout his career because he keeps switching teams. There you go, 8.
8th coordinator overall in his career.
Yeah.
Which is tough because that's a new guy, new system, changes, and you got to learn and adapt. Maybe at this point he's just learned that's the best way to do it. Never keep it the same. Always do something different so they never see what's coming.
Yeah, that could be.
Now let's talk about players. So in this case, when we did this 5-player pick'em, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, flex, we did it with Gabriel. And here's how this team played out. I picked Baker Mayfield, Bijan Robinson, Mike Evans, Kyle Pitts, and Chris Olave. Those were my picks. That was what I thought was going to be the best. Andrew, who'd you pick?
Sadly.
You did? The guy you don't like.
Yeah. Wow. I thought he was the less evil of all of them. Bijan Robinson, Olave, Pitts, and Rashad White, because did not see him
losing his job
to a rookie. Yeah.
Yep. Gabriel, he also agreed with you with Kirk Cousins Bijan. He picked Mike Evans like me. Kyle Pitts was across the board. And then he also chose Rachaad White because Rachaad White did finish last year very well. And here's how it actually played out. So Baker Mayfield was the number one quarterback in this division. So I got that one. Bijan was the number one running back with 310 points. So we all got that one. Drake London was the number one wide receiver at 231 points. I thought for sure it was going to be Mike Evans, but no, he was not.
He couldn't have been that far behind.
Oh, he was close, but not as close as the guy in the flex spot. We'll get to that in a second. The tight end in this case, Cade Otton.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming. Did not.
Again, you had a division where the number one had more than double what you had.
Yeah. In this case, pretty close to double. Yeah, 207 versus 109.
Yeah. So it doesn't say a lot for that.
I don't
that
think
role.
Kyle Pitts is happy, and I think he's going to seek a trade.
I can see it.
He's like, get me out of here. And then our flex spot, now there's a variety of options that could be here. I had Chris Olave. You and Gabriel both went Rachaad White. It was Bucky Irving, the rookie backup running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He outshined all of these guys and came into the flex spot at 219 points.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, when you're 90 points behind the next running back, that's...
Yeah, but Rachaad White wasn't far off behind Bucky Irving.
No.
But Chris Olave, he was injured. He didn't have a long season. Mike Evans was super close. He was just behind Bucky Irving. So just big surprises.
Yes. I think because when you have such a weak division, that's why you have those big swings in points. I think we've seen another shift in the tight end position where they're not relying on them as much as they did 2 years ago.
Which is unfortunate because
you see, you're right. You're seeing the points drop. Kelsey didn't have as strong of a year.
Mark Andrews was off to a really slow start. Sam Laporta didn't repeat.
Dude from Kittle did not have
he had a great year for Kittle, but
yes, but not a 3 years ago Kittle. They got a ton more points.
Yeah, but we did see the rise of other tight ends. Isaiah Likely vultured a lot from Mark Andrews. Cade Otton rose up in the ranks. Brock Bowers led the entire league as a rookie, breaking what Sam Laporta did last year. So it came from the unusual spot.
I think what the teams are doing is, if the tight end is hot right at the beginning of the season, they'll ride that out for as long as they can. If he's not, they move away. Like, they're moving away from the tight end real quick.
Jonnu Smith of Miami, that guy had a great year this year. But Tyreek, terrible. So just some teams get it and some teams don't. But I think there's extreme value in the tight end position if you know how to use it right.
If you had a guy who can block and catch,
value.
Yes. And I think you look at Kelsey this year, he was probably more valuable as blocking than he was as catching. Like, a lot of times when the wide receiver or the running back broke for a big run, Kelsey was one of the guys out in front blocking.
Know your role. Play your role.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you're not going to get the ball, make it an opening for the guy that got the ball. That's your job. That is your job. Go out and make a hole for the guy who has the ball.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this show. I want to say thank you very much for listening, participating, and enjoying the show with us. Andrew, again, thank you very much for coming back and celebrating your birthday with us tonight. Yay! Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the show. Next week, we're going to be getting together with our friend Josh. Josh is going to do two things with us. First thing he's going to do is the AFC East Divisional Review, because he met with us in the summer. We did that breakdown. Now he's coming back to do the review with us. Excuse me. He's going to do the year-end award show, which is always fun.
Chiefs are going to win.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's going to feel about that, but I look forward to hearing his response in regards to the outcome of the Super Bowl. So tune in next week as we get back together. That'll be February 12th recording, posted on February 13th, day before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we might also get a video or two of the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Antics.
I'm sure there's going to be some stuff. I found the notebook from last year that we took
That's
to
covered in beer.
That is, yes, actually, as a matter of fact, you might be able to even see it. Like, you might be able to see, like, somehow some of the pages are all like wet and crinkled.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the book we took to the Super Bowl last year. That we had all of our challenges, and I'm going to come up with, because it's my responsibility, because I was the last loser in the bet, to come up with a bet, and I'm going to come up with the spinning wheel of death style. So that we'll have options. And then when you want to challenge the situation, you can spin the wheel, take the bet, make the challenge, and then it'll add to the stack. So once the Super Bowl is done, we will settle all bets.
Oh. We should get the waitress involved somehow.
That doesn't sound like we're going to get in trouble.
Here, you pick the next bet.
You spin the wheel, and that is our bet. Because let's just say it's projected like, I say this is the deal, here's what's going on. You spin the wheel, the bet comes up, the parameters are met, and you feel like you're going to win that, which is going to put us in a tie. So then I'm like, I don't want to end in a tie. I submit a new thing to put on the stack. So, all right, and I feel like now I'm going to win. It's going to put me back up. So we keep doing that. But let's just say you overwhelmingly place a couple bets, they're trending your direction. We could just keep spinning it just to keep adding more elements to pick and choose from to try and determine who's going to be the ultimate winner of our side bets.
Yes.
So that is my goal. I am working on my list in the now dried out paper pad. So yeah, come back next week, folks, as we settle up on those bets and see who takes home all the hardware.
There we go.
From one poor man to another, everybody. If it's not fun, and it's not worth doing.
Have a great week, everybody.